As missiles fly in the Middle East, White House prepares for a high-stakes fight night spectacle inside Washington. Trump turns the White House into a $60 million mega sports venue even as global tensions continue to escalate. Around 125,000 fans are expected to attend what is being described as Trump's biggest sports spectacle yet. Trump leans on UFC-style optics as critics say the event distracts Americans while war and economic strain intensify. Donald Trump's UFC Showdown has turned the White House into a $60 million mega venue, according to court filings tied to ongoing legal challenges over the event. The filings show the project has expanded far beyond its original projections as preparations scale up across multiple federal and private agencies. Roughly 125,000 guests are expected to attend in person, while another 75,000 people reportedly requested tickets for the high-profile event. The UFC has constructed a temporary venue from the ground up under strict security and operational constraints on White House grounds. Preparation has required close coordination between government agencies and private contractors managing staging, security, and logistics. Every piece of equipment entering the site has been screened before installation, according to court documents cited by CNN. Expected attendance has surged to roughly 125,000 guests as demand far exceeds original projections. Additional 75,000 ticket requests highlight scale of public and private interest in the event. Around 4,000 guests are expected on the South Lawn inside secured viewing zones. A further 100,000-plus spectators will be positioned across the Ellipse public viewing area. Construction began on May 20th with continuous staging and infrastructure rollout across White House grounds. Between 20 and 30 trucks arrive daily carrying UFC staging, lighting, and broadcast equipment. An estimated 700 to 900 subcontractors are involved in construction, security, and technical deployment. A custom claw lighting structure has been installed as a central broadcast and visual feature. Anti-scale fencing has been installed across key perimeter zones to control crowd access and security risk. Secret Service screening checkpoints have been established for layered entry and threat detection. Bike rack barricades have been deployed to manage pedestrian flow and secure restricted areas. A total of 494 portable toilets are being installed to support large-scale crowd capacity requirements. However, Virginia residents have filed a last-minute legal challenge seeking to delay the event over environmental and permitting concerns. Locals argue the UFC show should have undergone additional environmental review and standard federal permitting processes before approval. The administration maintains the event complies with applicable rules and exemptions tied to national commemorative programming. Federal exemptions were used under America 250 celebration guidelines to fast-track approvals. Challengers argue the UFC event does not qualify as a legitimate commemorative America 250 activity. Environmental impact assessment was not conducted before construction and large-scale staging began. A court ruling could still arrive before the scheduled event date, potentially affecting execution timeline. Multiple federal agencies are supporting law enforcement, medical services, and security coordination for the high-capacity event. Officials warn that canceling the event at this stage would trigger major financial losses and disruption across contracted operations already underway. The spectacle comes as Washington is simultaneously dealing with escalating geopolitical tensions in the Gulf region. Iran opens a new front across the Gulf, bringing key U.S. allies into the widening regional confrontation. The conflict spills across Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain in a single wave of missile and drone activity. The IRGC claims it launched 12 ballistic missiles at Al-Azraq Air Base in Jordan during the operation. Tehran alleges the base is used to support U.S. F-35, F-15, and F-16 military operations in the region. IRGC said, and I quote, "The strikes were carried out in response to U.S. attacks on sites inside Iran, including a recreational site, an industrial complex, and areas near military installations around Karaj, Nasrabad, and Peshawar, as well as a local IRGC base. Operations would continue as long as enemy aggression persists." Unquote. Jordan activates emergency procedures after reports of incoming missiles and hostile aerial activity. Residents in Amman are urged to seek shelter as fears of further escalation grip the country. The US issues a security advisory for its citizens in Jordan, urging them to remain indoors. Meanwhile, the US Embassy in Baghdad advised American citizens to depart immediately amid rising tensions. Kuwait temporarily closes its airspace as the regional security situation deteriorates rapidly. Kuwaiti military officials say air defense systems were activated to respond to potential threats. Bahrain also places its air defenses on alert as the crisis spreads across the Gulf. IRGC-linked channels release footage purportedly showing missile launches from Iran's Isfahan province. Tehran says the strikes were aimed at US military facilities and command centers across the region. As tit-for-tat attacks spread, Trump's warnings appear unable to halt the march toward wider conflict. Iran has announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, dramatically escalating tensions and warning Washington against further military action.
The central headquarters of Katamal announced, in continuation of the hostile actions of criminal America, and in light of the beginning of attacks by the aggressive military against certain areas in the south and Hormuz province, effective immediately and due to insecurity in the region, the Strait of Hormuz is declared closed to the passage of all vessels, including oil tankers and commercial ships. And any transit through the strait will be targeted. The United States claim regarding ship passage through the aforementioned strait is denied.
Tehran says all commercial and military vessels should avoid the waterway, warning that any attempt to transit the strait could face direct action. Iranian media reports that 2 vessels were hit after allegedly attempting to pass through the strait despite Tehran's restrictions. The move threatens one of the world's most important energy corridors, raising fears of disruptions to global oil supplies. The US military says fresh strikes were carried out against targets in Iran after President Trump authorized another round of operations. American officials insist the strikes are defensive in nature and were launched in response to what they describe as ongoing Iranian threats. Tehran says its air defense network responded to an alleged airspace violation, forcing a US fighter jet to withdraw from the area. Multiple explosions were reported in Bandar Abbas, adding to signs that the confrontation is spreading across southern Iran. Iranian state media says blasts were heard in Karaj, fueling speculation that fresh military activity is underway beyond the Gulf region.
According to IIB, areas in Sirak, Kurgan Minab was struck by enemy projectiles and explosions were heard in areas in south of Iran including Bandar Abbas. About 10 minutes ago, I and other citizens in Bandar Abbas heard 3 explosions. Follow-ups have been done and an assessment so far. The type of projectile and the exact location struck is not clear. Before that, those living in Sirak in the coastal region in East Hormuz province heard 3 explosions. The possible location of strike is being assessed, and we are waiting for supplementary information to relay. In addition, in Keshem Island too, we have reports of explosion-like sounds being heard.
President Trump reportedly told Iran that the latest US strikes were a response to the Apache incident and not the start of a broader military campaign. Trump claimed senior Iranian officials reached out directly and urged Washington to stop the ongoing bombing campaign. The US president warned that military action could continue unless Tehran agrees to a deal with Washington. In a stark warning, Trump said Iran would face another round of strikes if negotiations fail to produce results. Even as reports of back-channel communication emerge, both sides continue exchanging military actions across the region. The confrontation is expanding across key strategic areas, raising concerns about a wider regional conflict. The latest developments follow reports outlining potential US plans targeting major Iranian military and strategic infrastructure. The United States is now declaring that bombs would hit Iran hard if negotiations fully collapse. But is this escalation already locked in motion? Hegseth has warned that tap bombs could be deployed against Iran if a deal fails, signaling a sharply aggressive contingency stance. A stark tonight warning has been issued as America's war rhetoric continues to escalate, leaving the timeline dangerously uncertain. CENTCOM is now backing potential strikes as so-called self-defense operations expand, broadening the scope of possible military action. And with a second straight day of reported US attacks, war rhetoric appears to be reaching a new peak, with escalation fears intensifying further.